Hey, what's going on, everybody? David Noe with SpeakEasy HR, presented by Payroll Partners. We are back for a brand new episode, coming off a vacation for me, and I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of work. And so I get a chance to do another episode of SpeakEasy HR with another new guest, one that I am so excited to have on, as we've talked on a variety of topics up to this point. So I'm thrilled to have a former Michigander on the show today, Mark Lane. Mark, welcome. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And yes, I'm a Michigander, and it's 75 degrees and sunny today, if you can believe that.
Wow. Yeah, I was down in Florida and I felt like it was warmer in Kentucky. And before I went to before I went to Florida, it felt warmer up here. But here we are. It's April, and it's crazy how fast this year is going. And so we're going to dive into a lot about this topic that you're bringing, and stuff that you talk about your podcast, Ghosted by the Machine, part of the Work Defined Network. Same with SpeakEasy HR. So if you haven't heard of Work Defined, it's a podcast community, bunch of great podcasts out there.
Yep.
So, Mark, if you want to share a little bit about your background, we've obviously connected for several months now as we've gotten to know each other. But for folks that don't know you, we're live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you obviously have a question for Mark, throw it out there in the chat. But tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'll tell you, I was listening to your open, and I'm a musician, so I loved your open, especially the horn part, since I'm a saxophone player. So I got to get that out of the way. I am a senior corporate communications marketing executive with over 20 years of experience. Worked with Fortune 500 companies, nonprofits, global nonprofits, government organizations. You name it, I've done it. I've also worked in television broadcasting for a local TV station here in Detroit. I've also worked for the Pistons organizations when I got started in broadcasting. But I started my career in broadcasting, which led me into communications. And I'm a musician on the side. So there you go.
Okay. And so your podcast is called Ghosted by the Machine.
Yes.
So what is that?
Ghosted by the Machine. Well, let's put it this way. I lost my position last March.
Okay.
And I thought jumping back into the job market would be pretty easy. Talked to a lot of my friends in business, a lot of my contacts. And as I got started in networking and reaching out and applying for jobs, I just saw that things weren't moving as quick as I thought. And the crazy part is, it's not me. It's all over. And I see stories on LinkedIn every single day. And you see jobs that have been posted and are sitting there for months upon months. You apply for a job, you go through interviews, or 3, 4, 5 rounds, and then there's just silence. And there's silence when you put your resume in, going through the cheese grater system, the ATS system they call it now. And then the crazy part is, like I said, it's not just me. We're seeing data where around 40% of candidates are getting ghosted even after multiple interviews. And then on top of that, there's more noise. There's scams, there's fake postings. And I've got one just reaching out to me today on LinkedIn a half hour ago, wanting to know my job qualifications if I'd send him my resume. Turns out all he wants to do is take my resume and say, hey, you need to have it redone. It's not going to fit the ATS system for this job. It's like, wait a minute, come on. Why'd you reach out to me? But that's what's going on, trying to get through that noise. And then, I saw what the landscape in front of me was, and I started putting 2 and 2 together and seeing all the other stories. And I decided, something, I want to talk a little bit more about this. I want to develop my own podcast. I know there's 4 million of them out there, but I really believe this one resonates when it comes to job ghosting, job searching, and the world of job, your career job development.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you want to find more about Ghosted by the Machine, obviously Work Defined is a way to find the podcast amongst the others out there, including SpeakEasy HR. But as you have on your baseball jersey, the HR channel, you and I are working with the group to get this started. And so tell everybody about the HR channel. This is now a it's a formed platform, and I also have a QR code to go out to find it. So tell us about the HR channel and what you're doing with it.
Well, I'm helping with the marketing and advertising for the station. Now, if you have Roku or Fire Stick TV, you can go in and you can find our app. You can download it, and you can watch our shows. You can watch your show. There's 7 or 8 other podcasts now on the network. You're going to learn about HR and the future of work insights, news, and some entertainment. I guess my show would be the entertainment side, but we so there's some great shows, some great material to learn from on that station. So if
Yeah,
you've got Fire Stick TV, go to the App Store, download it, the HR channel. If you've got Roku, do the same thing. And we're really excited about it. And along with the Work Defined network, there's a lot of information out there for people in the HR community or job searching or career advancement that will
yeah,
probably love these 2 platforms.
yeah. No, that's awesome, and I am so thrilled to be a part of that first group. And so, everything that I'm doing with Speakeasy HR and doing this live on LinkedIn and YouTube on Mondays, it's been a lot of fun over the last couple of years that I've been doing this, and now getting a chance to do this, going beyond just the podcast and having the content with the website and helping promote what we do with payroll partners. But now this channel, I mean, it just,
Yeah.
we'll see where that will go. But I think you and the others with David Turetsky, who is the next guest on Speakeasy HR next Monday, we'll dive into that a little bit more with David Turetsky and the HR Data Labs, who's also part of the Work Defined community. So, well, thanks for sharing a little bit more about your background, Mark. I always ask this question, and it's about your background and the people that you've been around and advice you've been hearing. So, if you think about this question, maybe a few things come to mind, maybe one thing, but what's some of the biggest piece of advice you've ever received in your career?
Um, the biggest one, which kind of a touchy subject for me right now, is as you got in your position, try to learn as much as you can in that position, garner as many tools as you can in your profession. It
Yeah,
will help you grow not only in the business, but as a person.
yeah,
As I'm seeing now, as I apply for jobs or have applied for jobs, numerous jobs, that it's difficult to get all those tools into that ATS system, cram them all in.
yeah,
So that was probably one of the biggest, um, I would say, things that I picked up along the way. I mean,
yeah,
I just thought it was great to learn as many things as I could in this profession
yeah,
or in my profession.
yeah. Absolutely. That's great advice for anybody out
Yeah.
there listening. And so no, that's great. So all right. I told you about this game. I'm going to transition, and if you think about a number 1 through 15, we're going to play the envelope world famous envelope icebreaker game. All right. 1 through 15, Mark, what do you got?
My daughter's jersey number 7.
Number 7. All right. You heard it. Mark's got number 7. All right. What's a TV show or movie you quote way too often?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Heartbreak Ridge.
Heartbreak Ridge?
Heartbreak Ridge. This is you're gonna love this. It's an old Clint Eastwood movie. I wouldn't say old, but it's a Clint Eastwood movie.
Okay.
He's in the Marines. He's a Marine, like a training person in the Marines, and the Marines would go by overcome, adapt, and improvise. That's what he used to say all the time in the movie.
Okay.
Overcome, adapt, and improvise. And
Okay.
actually, I say it a lot, and I try to go by that in what I've
Yeah.
done in my life. Overcome, adapting, and improvising.
Okay. I'll have to look that up. I have not seen that. Well, thank you.
Ah,
Anybody?
scared you, didn't I?
No, I love when I hear people, that I try to change up what questions are in the envelope so people that watch, if they pick 7, it's not gonna be the same question, but you never know. You never know what someone's gonna say in some of these
Well,
questions. So it's
I could have went with a Naked Gun or Stripes or something like that, but hey, this is a family show, right?
right. Mine's Caddyshack. I
Yes.
feel like I quote Caddyshack a lot. So, well, no, that's great. So, all right, rapid fire questions for you, Mark. There's 5. So, resume or portfolio, which matters more today?
I say portfolio, resumes get you scanned, proof gets you hired.
Okay. One hiring trend that needs to disappear.
Ooh, ghosting. It's lazy and it's killing trust.
I got my mini air horn, so we're
There you
going to
go.
be using this. All right. One thing every company should do better before, or I'm sorry, one thing every company should do better during hiring.
Hello? Hello? Let's communicate like there's a human on the other side because that's what we need to be doing.
Yep. LinkedIn message or email for networking.
Um, well, LinkedIn to start, and I would say email to build that relationship.
AI in hiring, opportunity or danger.
Well, I could say danger, Will Roger. Never mind. Danger, Joe. Danger. Never mind.
Yeah.
Both. It scales efficiently. It scales efficiency, um, but it's also invisible. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
ghosting. If you don't hear from something and hear from a client or a job or a job application, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's uh it's a really wacky time right now, and we're going to dive more into that about why job searching feels broken right now. So before we get to that, just a couple of words from our sponsor, Payroll Partners, and then we're going to get into your topic, Mark. So hang on
sure.
tight. We'll be back in a minute.
Finding a new employee takes time and money. For one position on a single job board, you could easily spend a minimum of $5 to $10 a day advertising a job post. It's worth noting that the average time it takes to hire a new employee is 36 days. However, it can take longer than that. You could find yourself paying hundreds of dollars a month for a single job board. And if you're using multiple job boards for multiple positions, this could add up to thousands of dollars a month. There is a much simpler and more affordable way of finding the right candidate. At Payroll Partners, we offer an applicant tracking system to help manage your hiring process. Our ATS is customizable, allowing you to decide which days you want to run the job and when to close it so you don't break the bank. And this feature lets you e-blast your network, posting jobs on multiple boards at once, all managed in one location. Payroll Partners, elevating your payroll and HR experience.
So technology is funky, payroll systems are clunky, and HR has enough to deal with. So if you are in a situation where your systems just are not working, your payroll vendor just never answers your phone calls or emails, look us up, get in touch with me on LinkedIn, be happy to talk to you and just hear about your situation and where you're at and if we can help be a better partner in your technology. Would love to work with you along the way and get you in a better place and use technology the way it should be, especially for hiring, right? So that is where we are. And so Mark, when we first started talking about you coming on, we were trying to figure out, where you were in your situation, looking for a job, working with HR channel, working with your podcast. And so this fit really, really well. And I'm really excited to dive into this a little more. So your top shelf topic is why job searching feels broken right now. And I think a lot of people can relate to you in this who have been looking for jobs recently or are currently working to get a new job. So you host the podcast Ghosted by the Machine. So what first made you realize something in the job search process was truly broken?
Well, well, when you start applying for jobs and you see a job description and it says, this is your job description, and you look at it and going, I fit this to a T, and you apply, and then you hear nothing back. Yeah, and then at like 3 o'clock in the morning, a month and a half later, you get an email that says thank you for applying. It doesn't give you any feedback. We're keeping your resume on file. That's it. And you start getting those along with getting the scams and the bots and you do an interview and you don't get here back for months, or you're doing 3 or 4 or 5 of them. All these together, all throw that all in the bucket. It all focused on, okay, something's wrong with this system. It's broken. And I'm not the only one saying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's for me, I've been in the role I've been in with payroll partners for about 4 years, and so I haven't been on the job market lately, but I really can relate to people, and I talk to people, and I fill jobs for us, and I know how we do that internally. And I just had 3 new hires start today, so they all had that experience of getting interviewed and recruited by us. So it really, it has to be a system that will obviously work for the business, and it's not a one size fits all, especially for businesses that you have somebody wearing a lot of hats. They have to be the ones, interviewing and hiring and managing. So, when you're applying for jobs, and I know a lot of people out there probably apply to more jobs than they would ever want to potentially go work for. Um, so maybe, looking at how you've tried to maybe apply for jobs, um, can you kind of explain a little bit about your your process with that? Like, are you to this cycle and this process for yourself, and maybe others do the same thing, but just when you want to apply for a job, if you've never heard of that job, if you don't know anybody that works there, if you've never heard of them, if you Google and you're kind of like, I don't know, like, are you intentional in who you apply for, or are you applying for jobs that really are like, it sounds great, but it's not like your dream job? It's not like,
Right.
so is there a process you've had in that process to apply for jobs?
Uh, there's the shotgun approach, which I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of job seekers are doing right now. I must say I did that for a while because I'm like, look, I need a job. I got to find
Yeah.
something. I
Yeah.
got bills to pay. I got
Yep.
mortgages. Um, but then there's that approach where you put those blinders on and you focus on your friends and your network, and then you do your research, and utilize some AI to help you with that job search. I've actually gone into a couple of the AI platforms, and here's my resume. This is what I'm looking for. This is my background. Can
Yep.
you give me? I'm looking for jobs in this area that are open that would fit my resume, and it actually broke them right down and gave me links to where their jobs were with their on their website, which
Yeah.
was extremely helpful, extremely helpful. So
Yeah.
I've done that. But again, when you're applying, and the biggest frustration is you're applying with 500 people to 1,000 people for one job. Used to, once COVID hit, everything was online. And now there's more hybrid jobs, there's more remote jobs that are out there. And you see a job here in Detroit area where I'll apply to, and it'll on LinkedIn it'll tell you it's been up for 3 days and 600 people have applied for it. Think about that. So 600 people apply for that job. It goes through the ATS system. Could be I won't name any names, but could be one of those application programs that you fill out. It goes through. They take maybe the top 10% of those let's say 60 that fit through, and then the other 540 are back in the pile sitting there. What happens to those?
Yeah.
What are we doing with those? And then when do we get back to those? The biggest frustration, and I'll lead to this one. The biggest frustration that candidates are experiencing, it's the silence. Hands down. People can handle a no.
Yeah.
What they can handle is nothing.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. 60% of job seekers say ghosting is their top frustration. Think of that. I mean, not hearing back. So your mental state, you're up and down, and I'm all excited about this job. I got this interview. Then you don't hear anything for a month and a half. My
Yeah.
daughter graduated college. Prime example. She's 22 years old. She graduates from college. She's all excited. She applies for all these jobs. She's got a job. She's had a job for about 9 months out of college. She comes home the other day. Hey, Dad, you got to hear this one. I go, what's up? She goes, I applied for this job before I graduated. They finally got back to me over a year later. letting her know, thanks for applying. But yeah, your qualifications didn't fit. But we will keep your name on file a year later. And that's just my daughter. Think about anyone over the age of 45. You got to talk about ageism in there. So there's so much frustration out there, and
Yeah.
after a while, it feels really personal. And one thing that came across my computer from a friend of mine is, as of January 1st, Canada has a law prohibiting ghosting. So new rules under the Working for Workers 5 Act started January the 1st. So they have a rule that after 45 days, if you've not been contacted, there's these requirements. I haven't read through the whole thing, but there's penalties to companies if they're not getting back to you if you apply.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I think that would be amazing for the United States to have that. I don't know if that will ever happen, but
No,
the
no, no, no.
it's
You
not
know, and I've been asked, how do you fix it? It's like, I don't know. I mean, trying to get a job's like winning the lottery.
right. Well, and two, I don't know how much this goes into it, but I think a lot of people in HR are burned out, and I think what people in our profession have experienced for the last 5 or 6 years, I don't know if we'll ever have that again with the pandemic and having to navigate through that, and how you had to really adapt and adjust to change and how people work, and trying to keep up with the demand of working at home and hybrid and being able to have flexible work environments. Because, like, as soon as you give that to somebody, it's like so hard to take it back. So I think businesses of all shapes, sizes have had to really navigate through that. And so HR has had to lead a lot of that change and culture shift.
Yeah.
So now we're back to, not where it was pre-pandemic, because now we have a whole lot more of AI and technology that's making things different and how we work and how we operate. So if you look at that and how AI has maybe helped the hiring process, do you see anything out there where it has helped?
Well, I think it's helped with the speed and the scale. No question about it. That it really
Yes.
has. But obviously, where it breaks is the context. We've gone from evaluating people to matching keywords.
Yep.
When you do that, you miss a lot of really good people.
Yep.
And a lot of people have transferable skills. Where
Yep.
does that fit in?
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you're either a perfect fit on paper or you just don't exist.
Yeah.
And you see a great post. So I see a post. This is example of what I would do. Great job here on LinkedIn. I'm going to take it. I'm going to copy the description. I'm going to put it into Chat GPT or Grok or whatever AI program you use. Put it in. Is this a job fit? And then you drop your resume in and it lists it. Oh, this is a great fit. Blah 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 blah. Would you like help with your resume? Would you and your resume? So then you go through and you form your resume to fit those keywords.
Yep.
Then you put together a cover letter, and I'm not sure anybody reads cover letters anymore. No one's given me that answer yet, but so you put it in and you pray and you think about it, and it's like, this is a great fit. I really want this job. And you do I'll do my due diligence. Let's see, if someone I went to college with, or I know from the baseball team or music. Oh, this person I work with, or I used to work with, or I know, or this person knows them. And you reach out to them on LinkedIn. And hey, I'm applying for this job. I really would like to talk to somebody. That again is flip the coin. You don't
Yep.
know if they can help you or not, because everything still has to go through that ATS system, and then it sits in there. And you got to remember that your AI is competing with my AI. So where are we at?
Yep.
Your AI is competing against AI. So we don't know. So is it hurting us? Is it helping us? Is it hurting the system or the HR person or the talent acquisition person that's going through this right now?
Yep.
No, it's helping them out because it's filtering through the 500-600 resumes.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. and I could probably talk about this for 2 hours.
Well, it is insightful as we have
And
Albert
one quick thing,
following.
one quick thing. Think about it. I talked to someone that applied for 2,000 jobs in 6 months.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we are live, LinkedIn, YouTube. So if you are watching, please chime in, ask a question, make a comment about your experience of finding a job in the last year. I know people that have gotten a job. It took them 6 to 8 months to find a job, and they did a lot more than just click apply, apply, apply. They would go and go to library, career networking events and things like that are free. You just have to go and
Yep.
meet people. So I know those people are qualified to do the jobs they're applying for, but like you said, 600 people are applying for a job. How are you going to be in that top 10 to get a call, to get an interview and be a part of that? And to me, like I look at what I do in the experience with our candidates. When I post a job and I get people that apply and they look qualified, I will I will see when I email them and say, "Hey, I would love to connect with you, Mark, on a phone interview, and let's connect so I can hear more about your background and what you're looking for." I want to make sure it's a good fit, right?
Mhm.
If they respond within 24 hours, check mark. They're responsive. Then we have a phone interview and they're very engaged, they're asking questions, they obviously are interested in the job, and like that whole experience as a candidate, I try to put myself in their shoes because how they feel as a candidate, and if they feel like it was a positive experience and they got to know me and what we do as a business, and then we make them an offer, hopefully, I have a pretty good batting average when I do make offers. And most of the time, we are a part of a select group of companies that these people are considering. And so, there are people that decide to take other jobs, and that's totally fine. But, at the end of the day, you have to be intent. You have to be intentional, and like you said, you have to have that human element still to recruiting. And I don't know, when you look at AI and the way that people are using it to save time and streamline it, when you have an AI chatbot doing your interviewing for you, there might be some companies that are really saving time to do that.
Right.
They're maybe hiring the best people out there that want the job. But I just don't see that working for everybody, especially when what we do, we have a call center, or we have a service team. It's not a call center, right? You call us as a client, you have a dedicated representative as a client. You're not calling a call center. So I want to make sure that our interview process is very aligned and similar to how we treat our employees and how we treat our clients. We're not just going to throw a chatbot and say, "Here, deal with them." Like it's not going to be like that. So I think the experience as a candidate, when you are applying for jobs, and how you are treated as a candidate, it will probably show you a little bit about how you will be treated as an employee.
Sure.
So obviously, anybody listening to this and thinking about, okay, what was it like to be an applicant and then a part of the interview process for a company that I actually went and accepted a job offer? Like, was that experience similar to how you're treated as an employee now? And if it's yes, you probably like your job. You probably are staying at your job. But still, there are people that I talk to all the time that are still getting, through a riff, they're getting their jobs eliminated. It's happening. I feel like every week we hear about big companies slashing a percentage of their workforce, and big name companies slashing 20% of their employees. When you have thousands of employees, it's like, where are they going? What are they doing? Um, so it's very interesting to be on the side of applying for jobs, and obviously it's very stressful when you're trying to have a job and provide for your family and be able to live, and if you don't have unemployment to um, you know have some kind of income coming in. um, so let's shift gears a little bit, Mark, and as a communications expert and everything that you've worked on, What do you think companies misunderstand about the candidate communication during the process of hiring?
Well, so communication is, and I learned this when I got married, 75% of communication is listening. You got to listen, right? And you got to listen to the applicant, you got to listen to the talent person, the HR people, they all got to listen. And the numbers, they kind of back that up. They think it's operational, it's not. It's reputational. You
Yeah.
know, 65% of candidates say they don't get consistent communication during hiring.
Mm.
So this isn't a real small gap. This isn't being 1 for 3 playing baseball or anything. This is it's the experience. Every step of the hiring process is a brand moment,
Yep.
and right now, lots of brands are going silent, and that's going to come back and bite them lower third of their body. It really is. I believe people, they take that and they use that with their pocketbook or social media. They're not either not going to go and buy their product, or they're going to be on social media ripping them,
Yep.
and you see
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
There are companies that, quite frankly, I applied to that I probably will never shop again with them again. You know, um,
Yeah.
because how I was treated, and other people that I've met or interviewed have been treated.
Yep.
So, hope that answers that question.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I look at that too because I tell people that when they apply and I start the engagement process with them, I email them about a phone interview. I email them about coming into our office and meeting with our team, meeting our owner, right? Like I'm not just going to leave you hanging. I'm going to get back to you either way. If I decide to offer you a position, obviously I'm going to call you and make you an offer. If we decide to make someone else an offer and you weren't selected, I'm going to still reach out to you. And when you're saying 60 or 65% of applicants see a breakdown in communication throughout that process, it's kind of like, okay, what are they going to do about it? The companies, and unfortunately, I don't know how many are going to fix that. They're going to have a recruiter, a staffing company, internal HR, whoever's involved in hiring. They're not perfect, and clearly they're making communication mistakes. They're breaking down. So it's kind of like etiquette of an employer to be better at recruiting,
Right.
and the etiquette of an applicant to stand out and find who works at those companies, right? Like you said, go out on LinkedIn, see if you know anybody that works at ABC company. I've had people do that to me. Sometimes I can help them, sometimes I can't. And so again, the beyond the click apply in job searching is so critical, and people that do that hopefully see the value in spending time. It's like a as you know, it's like a full-time job finding a job,
Yes.
you know? It's not like you just click apply to 10 jobs and you get a few interviews and then you get a job. It's maybe it was like that 10, 20 years ago, but now, people do part-time work, side gigs, consulting, all these different kinds of arrangements that I'm just really curious what the workforce is going to look like, especially kids in college right now.
Right.
And I know one of the other great podcasts out there, College Recruiter.
Mhm.
Shout out to Steven Rothenberg. Um, he did a piece on SpeakEasy HR's blog last week, and so he's been a consistent contributor to the blog with SpeakEasy HR, and so he sees it a lot, and he's obviously in it. So I really am curious how, especially for me, like I have teenagers, and it's like at some point they're going to be out of the house. Hopefully, at the point of getting a full time job somewhere and being able to provide for themselves. But I'm really curious how it's going to look in 2030 and beyond, right? Like, jobs will be created. I think I saw a stat last year that the jobs available in 2030, like 85% of jobs haven't even been created yet that'll be available in 2030. And I,
Wow.
I just I think it's mind blowing to think about. So AI is not going anywhere. I think people have their opinions on it, but we're not talking about AI today. It's more about job searching and
Right.
people out there looking for jobs. So if you are watching live or if you see this later, would love to just hear your experiences. You don't have to call out company names. Just if it was a good experience or a bad experience. And I think everybody can think about how they were recruited into jobs they've had before. I've had several. They were all a little different, and I think it's all a little different because of the company, industry, and if you're going to a large organization or a smaller company, it's all going to be different. Your experience is going to be different. Just when you go into a big company with thousands of employees, it's going to be a different process to get a job there potentially. Um, but you're in Michigan, you probably have tons of jobs that you could do remote with companies all over the country, right? Like,
Yeah. It's just to get yourself in front of that person that's making those decisions,
right,
you
right.
know, because
Yep.
again, everybody I think would like to have a remote position, a remote job. And when you've got thousands upon thousands of applicants applying for these jobs, what's going to set you apart? What is
Yeah.
it going to be? Is it going to be reaching out and finding that person that makes those decisions, the decision maker? Is it going to be doing something online that they're going to notice your blog or you notice your tweet or notice your posting on LinkedIn? Is that going to make a difference? Is it,
Right.
we don't know.
Yeah. There's no perfect formula.
No.
Um, but if you were advising an HR leader today, Mark, what are some simple things organizations could do immediately to try to improve the candidate experience?
Well, keep it simple, right? Acknowledge the people, acknowledge the person that's applying. Set expectations for that position and how you're going to find that person, and then close the loop, because 35% of candidates don't even get an acknowledgement after applying. And I can tell you, I'm probably right there with that number. And that could change a lot. It's not complicated. It's just respect, just like the old Aretha Franklin song. And I just, come on, RESPECT. Let's get it and get it right.
Right.
If I apply for a job, my daughter didn't need to hear from a year later. Okay, that's gone. I don't need to get an email at three o'clock in the morning on a Sunday and my phone buzzing telling me, "Oh, thank you for applying for this job, an automated job." Come on, are you serious? You're sending me an automated note at 3 o'clock on a Sunday morning? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yep.
Do I
Yeah.
really want to work for that company?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do right
Yep.
now if I
Yep.
had their ear.
Yep. So we are on LinkedIn and YouTube live. I believe Mark's got his connected to his LinkedIn. So again, if you are watching live, if you are out there and you've gone through the job search process, would love to hear from you. Any feedback, any questions, that might help other listeners, um, tips and tricks and how you might have been able to land a job or land an interview and get that opportunity. So Mark, how do companies balance the efficiency and automation with still the need of human connection in the hiring process?
Well, you can use AI to help, but I don't think it's the right way to decide. Like I've been saying, we're all using it right now. Let's be honest, we all are.
Yep.
And it just the volume keeps going up. We're on 11, and it was the volume control on the amp was at 10 because everybody's using it. Everybody thinks they have to use it. And when you've got these recruiters saying, well, we need to update your resume. Your resume doesn't fit this ATS standard. What does that mean? Okay. And if AI has become the gatekeeper, you're going to miss some great people that are out there.
Yeah.
And if you have transferable skills, you know, are you that square peg that you need to go in that round hole? And all those skills that you've picked up along the way that I talked about at the beginning, that I was told, get as many skills you can as you grow into your profession.
Yep.
Well, you need to focus on this. You don't need to have that. Well, I have that, but why can't I use that? And I had a job interview. Real quick story. I had a job interview for an internal communications position for a global company. It was based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and I was speaking to a job recruiter in England. She got me the interview with this company. I was all prepared as internal communication, director of internal communication. I talked to the person that I would be working for. She was probably half my age and only had the job for about 3 months. We went through the questions. Can you give me an example of how you would handle this internal communication opportunity? Told her a little bit about my background, what I would do, what I would put into place. And I also gave her an example of something where I did an internal communication job, and it turned out that it became an external communication opportunity, which I thought, hey, I'm doing internal, but you can also use it externally. And I got a call back from the recruiter the next day telling me that she appreciated my interview. It went really well, except that she felt that I really didn't understand the role, that I would be specifically working in internal communications, not external, which I totally understood. And the only time I talked about it was giving her an idea of where it could lead. That was it. I was like, well, maybe that person doesn't understand their job, because you really want to be well-rounded in that type of position. Because if something does come internally and you can then take it to the next level externally for your external partners or your audience, you should be welcomed. So
Right.
just my thoughts, and I just wanted to share that. I was really upset because I don't think she got where I was coming from.
Yeah.
And I was giving her a success story. So,
Yeah.
oh well.
It's kind of like that first time manager and not having manager experience to really, you know, help them in that first managerial job. It's like you put someone in that role. Same with recruiting. It's like you just put someone into a recruiting role and you just expect them to go off a script asking questions, and like, are they really going to be able to filter out the people that may or may not be able to do the job? Probably to some extent they will know what to look for and what to look out for. But yeah, I mean, I think that's totally true. I mean, if somebody is interviewing but they don't truly understand the job they're recruiting for, it's like, like I recruit for all of our jobs. Have I been in all of the jobs? No, but the managers really know about what they're looking for, and I'm that first layer of interviewing, and then they get to meet the manager. And so it's challenging for sure. Especially with doing remote work, right? And like not getting a chance to meet people in person, it can be challenging. I have rarely hired somebody without meeting them in person, and that's just my experience. I've always hired in person. We've had a process. We don't hire people all over the country; they're all local. And I know some people, they hire all over, and it doesn't matter where you live; you can work wherever you are, right? Um, so what do you think the future of hiring, Mark, will look like, over the next 5 years as things continue to evolve? What gives you hope, I guess?
That's a great question, because I ask that on my show all the time. That's like the fifth question. I ask 5 questions, and the last one is there anything giving you hope right now? Well, I don't believe AI is going anywhere. It's going to be more AI, no question.
Yep.
But I think eventually there's going to be a correction. I really believe we're going to go
Yeah.
towards that, because right now we've optimized for efficiency, but candidates are feeling it. Ghosting is up, communication is down. So trust is slipping. And I think companies that win are going to be the ones that bring the human side back.
Yeah.
Now, will that happen in the next 6 months to a year to 2 years? I don't know. I'll be out of the job market by then, I'm sure. But
Yes.
um, it's crazy. It really is. I don't think anybody knew that this was going to be like this. I really don't. There was no crystal ball, and nobody did the waving of the wand like the wizards from Hogwarts. I mean, it's just been it's been nuts. Oh, now I'm going to start talking Hogwarts now. Sorry. Back to the movies. I'm probably surprised though. I'm looking at the chats. I have a bunch of friends that are watching this right now that can ask a question of me, and they're not putting a chat in. So I'm really disappointed. Gonna have to hit
Come
them
on,
up.
people, give Mark a question. Let's hear
Yeah,
from you.
yeah. Come on.
Um, I've got one more question for you. So if anyone chimes in, I can see them if they are. Sometimes it depends if they're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn. But if you are watching, throw out a question for Mark or a comment. Would love to hear from you all. But for job seekers, Mark, who feel discouraged right now, maybe they've been in the job market for the last 6 months. They just don't see really when they're going to get a job. What advice would you give them to stand out, stay motivated in today's market?
Well, don't let the process define you or define your value.
Yeah.
And really, I didn't understand that until I started the podcast, and I've only been doing it since the end of October. So I'm not even
Yeah.
6 months into it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but talking to these job seekers or candidates, and even some professionals in the business, the biggest thing is it isn't about you; it's about the system.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that. And people are applying to dozens and dozens and even hundreds, thousands of jobs. My buddy out in California, that, man, I pray for him every Sunday. He's applied for over 2,000 jobs. It's just crazy. Just to be seen.
Yeah.
Focus on what you can control, your story, your network, and how you show up every day. How you show up every day to apply for those jobs, or you get up out of bed and you have your cup of coffee and you watch TV,
Yeah.
you watch the news. Get back in that saddle every single day and find ways around the system, not just through it, but find ways around it. Because I truly believe you're going to find it. You're going to get there.
Right.
The other thing I've learned, and advice I give to them, is take a mental break. My friend Tyler in New York talks a lot about that on the podcast I was with her. You got to take that mental break. It's
Yeah.
give it a Sunday, give it a Saturday, give it a Friday, whatever night it is or day it is, or a couple hours or a few days. Take a break, because this is really hard. It really is. And I can tell you, I had some tough times going up and down, looking for a job.
Yep. Yeah. It's I try to tell people, like, maybe try to get out of your comfort zone every week and do something different. Try to find somebody on LinkedIn that you feel like could be uh, a good network resource, mentor, somebody that can just be like, hey, can you grab a cup of coffee, or can you get on a Zoom call? I want to show you my resume. I want to see if there's um, any kind of advice you would give. I tell people every time, and it's shocking how many people do not know what this is. And maybe you've heard of it, but it's a marketing plan for yourself, to market yourself to the job market. And it's not your resume. It is a one-page sheet that I can look at, and it will tell me what kind of jobs you're looking for, what industries, what locations, what job titles, your target companies, everything that I would probably ask you on the first time I talk to you. Mark, I see your resume. Tell me about this. What kind of jobs are you looking for? What kind of industries? What kind of work environment? Like all of these things, and most people tell me, "Oh, I've never heard of that before." It's crazy. So
Hmm.
I don't know how many people use that. It is not a resume. It is something that can be more of a marketing plan for yourself. When you go to coffee, when you go to a networking event, take that and be like, hey, here's my marketing plan for my job search. Would love for you to review it. See if you know anybody at these companies. If you do, I would love for you to introduce me. It's such an easy document. Happy to share it with anybody that wants it. contact me on LinkedIn. I'll send you the one that I've done. I used it 15 years ago, and I still use one when
Yeah.
I am job searching. Um,
That's a
we've
great
got
that's a great idea. I had somebody reach out and say, I need to put together a manifesto. So I did put a manifesto together.
yeah, absolutely. Do you know Mike? Is
Oh,
Mike?
I know Mike Engberg, good friend of mine.
So he had a message that got cut off, but you've discussed the separation of job seekers as a result of the search process, not to pile on, but discuss how to protect yourself against the seemingly real opportunities presented by scammers. I just had one last week that featured several red flags alerting me that this solicitation was not real.
Wow. First one. Hey there, recruiter. Joe Schmo dot recruiter name at gmail.com. Just delete that as quick as you can say my name. That is a scam right there. And I had to learn that. I mean, it was
Yeah.
one of the first things I learned. I had someone from Amazon. We've all heard of Amazon. I had a recruiter on a Thursday night at like 6 o'clock send me a note or evening. Hey, we looked at your profile. We'd love to talk to you about this position in marketing. I got all excited. I'm telling my wife, this is like in the first 2 months of looking at it in my job search. And I was starting to post more on LinkedIn. I was posting about my journey at least a couple times a week and doing a lot of blogging and outreach online. And this person found me and I'm like, oh, I'm all excited. So I start responding to the email, send her a note, here's my resume, here's all my information. Then I get a note back. Can you answer these questions? I send her another note back. Here's all these questions answered. Can you send us, do you have an executive bio? An executive bio. You've got my resume. Now you want an executive bio. All right, go to AI. Help me write a AI, executive bio. Wrote the executive bio. How much would you like for compensation? Would you like remote? And they start asking all these questions. I'm like, boy, this is getting crazy. All right. And it's starting, I'm feeling pretty good about this. They're asking all these great questions. I go, it's like 10 o'clock and I'm still going back and forth with this person. And I said, okay, I'm like, any more information you need? No, we'll get back with you if we need anything else. Boom, go to bed. I didn't sleep much. I'm like, wow, here's this remote opportunity. Amazon. This is great. Didn't bother to look at the email. Nothing. This is the first time out of the shoot when I got someone sending me this information. So the next morning I get up and I go, so I have it, I kind of check back. I am just circling back. Please let me know if you have any more questions. All of a sudden I get the reply is the same question I received for the first email. Oh, can you please send us your resume? I'm like, what is this? Didn't bother to look at LinkedIn, didn't bother to look at, if they had a phone number. So I learned the hard way. And I'm sure Mike has gone through this and so many other people I've talked to have gone through the same thing. First thing is look
Yeah.
at the email, making sure it's a business email. Second, if they have a LinkedIn profile, make sure you look at the LinkedIn profile. Although I actually had one the other day and I wrote about it on my profile. You can look it up, where I had someone reach out to me. They were using they had the person's name and they had the LinkedIn information. I clicked on it, went to that person's name. They had gone to Michigan State. And I also looked at the email and it was a Gmail email. So I knew this is a scam. So I said, oh, I'm going to play a little bit. So, hey, how did you enjoy being a Spartan, Michigan State Spartans? And the person came back, what are you talking about? I go, well, I saw it on your LinkedIn profile. You went to Michigan State. I had a lot of friends who went to Michigan State. Just want to know how you enjoyed being a Spartan. And then he comes right back. Oh, I'm so sorry, and blah blah blah. I just didn't understand where you're going with it. Can you please send me a resume? Delete. You're gone. But that's kind of stuff you have to look for. Look
Yeah.
at their profile. Make sure that they're not scamming you. And how I know I'm sure there's many of us that have gotten notes saying, please send us your resume to fit this job. And then 2 minutes later, you get a note back saying that your resume doesn't fit the ATS system and needs to be rewritten, which all of us have utilizing AI. What are you talking about? They want you to go through the resume process and pay someone to rewrite your resume.
Yeah.
So
Wacky. It's wacky
just
time, Mark.
some of the things I've had to jump through, and
Yeah.
Mike has had to jump through.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Mike. I wish you all the best, and I feel for people in the job market right now. Obviously, it's part of my job. I can't hire everybody I talk to, and but I know HR has obviously an opportunity to do better in the recruiting process for their business. So hopefully everybody that listens to this that are involved in recruiting can maybe look at what they do now, maybe try to find a way to make it better, personalized, connect more on a human level, and obviously use systems to make it easy, but not take the human element completely out, because I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with, and getting ghosted, as Mark has on his podcast. So Mark, I really appreciate your time today. This has been fantastic. I wish you all the best. I'm excited to connect with you more on the HR channel. So again, everyone, Mark's got the new shirt on, the HR channel. So take a look at that, and look him up on Ghosted by the Machine with his podcast. So Mark, appreciate all your time. Best of luck. We'll obviously stay connected, and I wish everybody a great rest of your Monday, and we'll be back next Monday with a brand new episode.
Thank you, David. Let's make hiring human again.
There you go, bud. I love it. Take care, everybody.